Guys, Cyanide here. We're out in the workshop, which means today we're making sparks. I've got the rear axle and the leaf springs out here and a mock-up of the front. Just quickly, I already made this. This is a prototype test of the front. This is not what you'd think. It ain't going to be like that. It goes across the front like that. The old rat rods do this a lot. It will come clearer later if you're not familiar with the style. Got the front wheels here. This kind of rat rod. You got different types of rat rods, and this is one of those ones where it's not all super mean and dirty. This is one of those ones where they have a kind of a juxtaposition of rusty shit plus bling mixed together. So we're going for the bling rims. The RC four-wheel drive parts are fairly bling, so and a rusty pulled out of a junkyard body type style of rat rod. I posted on RC Sparks forum about this build and mentioned that I was thinking originally of doing the Roadster style, and then because I'm concerned about space within the car, I may end up doing the old style pickup version of a rat rod, because it'll give me more room in the back for electronics, etc. But Lout, member there, Lout, he encouraged me to stick with the Roadster, and I agree. I think it would be a cooler look. Not that the other look isn't awesome, it's just the look I wanted originally. So he got me thinking a bit more, and one of my issues was, I'm trying to get this camera down here, you can see the eyelets of the spring here and out the back here. It's quite a wee ways out, too far out to be able to hug that tyre with the back of the Roadster. They hug them right on there, man. They have, some of them have exactly the same contour as a wheel, and this is an oversized wheel. So I researched it a bit, and what I found is I can actually, well, the thought was I need to shorten my leaf springs, and at first I was thinking I was going to have to put in new eyelets on the end, but what I found is I can cut these in half here and shift them in both ways and pretty much build what is called a split single leaf spring setup. So I'm going to cut the spring in half and move it in and put another hole in it, and they're going to lie on top of each other. Righto, so I've cut these leaf springs in half. I forgot to mention that these particular leaf springs are the RC four-wheel drive soft spring set for, I believe, the Trailfinder 2. In the parts video I think I showed you the other springs that I've got. They're going on the front, the ultra scale ones or whatever they are. These ones here are a bit more functional, they've got more flex in them. These will go on the back, and the ones that are exposed, the ultra scale ones, will go out the front. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is, now that I've cut my leaf spring in half, I'm going to move these in about yay far. So all I've got to do is drill a hole in each of these halves. I'll use these parts, I'll line them up, bolt them together, right? So I've got a hole there. I'll use that as my guide. I'll tap it, punch it, whatever you call it, with the wee punch thing there, and I'll drill a second hole. So basically I'm moving the mounting point from here back to there, and I think I'm shrinking it near about 10 mil either side, and that should get my springs in like that, and they'll be nice and tight, quite close to the outside diameter of those oversized slick wheels, which is the look I'm going for, and I really don't see this will be a problem. Okay, so I've drilled the holes. So now I've created a bunch of split single leaf springs from the standard leaf springs. So I was using these as my guide. I switched out this every time because I've got a bunch of them here, right? So for each one of these I changed out this because I didn't want to hucker out one hole and start getting sloppy holes, you know. So none of these have been particularly damaged as being used as guides to drill this. It is a fairly hardened steel, quite you know, like a spring steel, but it's so thin and it's only a M3 bit going through it. It wasn't that big a deal to get through it. So now I can overlay these like split single leaf springs, and that brings it in from that long to that long. So they're going to line up, ticky boo. Let's see if I... So yeah, good. I've tucked them in nice. I'm going to mount these back onto the axle now, and we'll take a quick look and see what the damage is. There you go. That's modified springs. That is standard. Let's see if I can get back a bit. There's a fair bit of difference. It's hard to really get a... Hold on. What about that? Yep. In relation to the wheel, so I did a quick measure. The eye to eye here for the standard ones is about roughly 115 mil eye to eye, and on the split singles modification about 100. So I've shortened them by about 15 mil. So they're if you can see here, it's how, if I run this ruler across the back of the tyre, the eyelets are pretty much just almost level with the tyre there, whereas if you go to the original, they're on the other side of the ruler. So yeah, that should tuck the butt in a bit more, and I can, what it also means, it means I can stop the chassis rail right there at the back, so it's not going to stick out too far behind this wheel. And it also means I can start the Z in the chassis a lot, well, not a lot, 15 mil further back, so I can drop it and away she goes. So I'm going to go and have a cup of coffee to celebrate that, because I didn't know if this was going to work, and I call that a pass. Once I've had a coffee, I'll get back out here, split some of this box into C, and start the chassis rails themselves.
Sunday rain on my parade.
so I've got my bot section split into C sections. Yeah, with the real McCoy you wouldn't use C section on your chassis, it's unsafe, but this isn't real, so it's a toy, and I think this is more scale looking than 12mm square box. So this is what I'm using. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut a piece off the end of this. I was just measuring it up just then. I'm thinking about 130mm long. That's longer than I needed. That'll give me a room to cut it a 45 for the Z, and a bit hangover at the end here, so I can play around with how I mount the leaf springs to the chassis rail, and then I can just cut this off later. You know, easier to cut it off than it is to add it back on, so I'll give myself some playroom. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. I won't bother filming that. I think we've got enough footage of me playing on a grinder for now. I'll cut that, and then I'll start thinking about how I'm going to mount the mounting points for the eyelets. Chances are I'm going to look like this. Let's see if I can show you that in the light there. The one I used on, what I used on these ones is, yeah, that's better in that light. These here are links off an old rusty bike chain, so I just taped them with the grinder and break them off, and use the bike links, because they seem to be about the right size for this sort of stuff. So I'll keep on, I'll probably use the same rusty bike chain links to mount the make the mounting brackets for the rear leaf springs on the chassis. So I'm going to cut these bits. What I want to do is figure out my mounting points here, and then I can drop it and go along the ground at ground level. I don't know, it's going to be about 10mm off the ground. Hopefully the rail along here will be about 10mm off the ground. She's going to be nice and low. That's the theory anyway, but you know, with builds like this, things change pretty quick. So I'll get on to that, and I'll turn the camera back on when I'm looking at how I'm going to do the eyelets linkages. The other thing I realised when I was talking about the leaf springs here, just want to clarify, this is the scale leaf spring. They're quite hard, man. They're different to these leaf springs here, which are the soft ones. And when I was talking about what I was doing, cutting these in half and that, I was calling these, what do I call them? Split singles. I think the correct terminology is actually split mono leaf springs. So yeah, you know, it's a cyanide tube video when I'm messing up my munching my words and getting my terminologies wrong. If you see a video where they claim to be cyanide tube and they say everything right, that's not cyanide tube. Righto, onwards and upwards. Okay, so here we go. I've got the C chassis mocked up right now. When I looked at it like this, I don't think there's enough room wheel to wheel, so I've cut off another two bits here, giving myself a good 100mm extra. So I'll switch those out. I can cut them down to fit. I'd much rather do that than add more on the end of this. Paranoid maybe, but so I'm thinking eyelet here and something like that at there, and that should give me my mounting points for the leaf spring on the back of the Z. And going along, shall go to here, that end, just explain this in like this. So, but what I'm thinking just quietly is I may drop it right down here and then step it up again and Z the front to get this front rail slightly higher. Excuse me, a moment. Like that. See what I'm doing there? So drop it here at 90 degrees. I probably won't put gussets in here because it's a model and it won't need it. Well, maybe I will. I'll see how much room I got. But here I might just cut this shorter on an angle here and then just put this on top. That'll raise the rail up again once we get past the the fuselage or the human cab or whatever the heck you call this part of your car, firewall. We get back to the motor and raise everything up again where I put my motor mounts in that, because this one here will be real low to the ground. This will give me a bit more, if I step it up like this, it will give me a bit more space. So I'm thinking I'm going to do that. So I might do, I don't know what you call that, double Z chassis, a ZZ bottom as opposed to a ZZ top. I don't know. Anyway, ideas, just plonking around at the moment. I'm not too sure how much more I'll get done today. I want to drill though, yeah, I need to drill those holes before I start welding this up. This one here I'm going to weld, it's going to be solid mounted. This one here is going to be pivoting so that the spring can, leaf spring can move. So I'm thinking I'll keep on working on these rear parts. It's getting late in the day, I don't know if I can be bothered welding anything up at the moment. Spend a few days thinking about it before I commit to any welds. But yeah, progress. This video is probably long enough now, so yeah, cheers for watching, and we'll finish off the chassis in the next video hopefully. Catch us later.